data protection laws. Yes. Why has it been so difficult to actualize this? What is the problem? Or don't we understand it as yet? Or we're still back in time? I don't even know what to say about it. But what is the problem, Ben?
I'm on record actually indicating we still have individuals in government who have never transitioned from 1963, and we are in the year 2019. They operate in government with a mindset that is stuck during the at the colonial era. During the colonial era, government used to be serikali, whereby everything is done quietly and discreetly. Yeah, and guys used to walk around looking very mean and very serious. That is the problem we have with individuals who have not been able to transition their minds through the current constitution that is 9 years old. Because Article 35 of the current constitution guarantees the freedom of access to information. But also the same constitution guarantees the right to privacy. I think it is Article 32. What we are lacking and why we are having problems, especially with this entire NIMS exercise, is we have individuals who cannot or have never been able to understand the concept of responsibility and the concept of ownership, especially when you are tasked for or given an assignment at a government level. What it means is we end up with individuals who have continued to deny Kenyans opportunities to understand government processes, because any decent government the world over would want to rally and whip the citizenry to be a part of the processes of the exercise they undertake. Around here, we have individuals, or 5 or 6 of them, who sit at Arambe House, decide on something extremely monumental for this country, then begin and embark on an exercise to shove down the necks of Kenyans without making them understand. That concept of implementing policy has never worked anywhere except in a dictatorship, and currently it is impossible to become a dictator in this country. Our democratic space expanded way long ago. We cannot go back to where we were, and more importantly, we have a constitution that many people are working towards amending without actually telling us where the problem is, because they are not even observing or even adhering to the current constitution. Until we begin to understand the concept of the rule of law and the concept of people taking responsibility, most of what we have will remain an exercise in futility, especially from government. And that's why Kenyans end up even losing, because we end up spending too much on very irrelevant exercises that do not translate to tangible progress for Mwananchi.
So that's where the problem is.
That's primarily where the problem is.
David.
No, I think the problem is multifold. So that's one bit of the problem. But I think the greater thing here is a conspiracy by global actors to ensure that some parts of the world make their data protected, because for them it is a gold mine.
Yes.
Many more multinational companies or transnational organizations are relying on accessing data to inform their actions and decisions. Strategic business decisions, strategic political decisions. The people who are interested in the African continent or countries and other global countries know very well that should we have a data policy in place, you will have locked out their ability to be able to play with the data and mine from it as they wish.
Okay.
So what we may not see is an underhand tactic by some of these organizations to ensure that they just continually stop and and stand in the way of enacting a proper bill. Because that bill is not going to come from heaven. It's going to come from a committee of parliament, then it will have to go to parliament itself. Then from there is when the president will assent to it as a proper law. Now, all of these stages are going to have faceless actors trying to pull strings from behind the curtains to ensure that we do not make progress. If, for example, today you had proper, stringent, data protection laws, then some companies that produce things like phones that have the ability to tap your conversations, that they have the ability to, put bugs in some of these equipment, that have the ability to access that and use it to model their marketing strategy, all these organizations will collapse.
Okay.
Because now they will have to pay an arm, a leg, and 4 kidneys
to get that
information.
Okay.
So there will be faceless actors. That's the reality in politics. That's the politique behind this whole madness. And I hope we get to it and sort it out. And I hope our members of parliament really make us proud. Now, if they didn't know, I have told them.
You've told them. All right, let's just briefly, let's go down that chain.
Yes.
If you were to mention who takes responsibility for what we are going through right now, who do you mention? Just go down that line, Ben.
There is a ministry in this country called the Ministry of Interior and Coordination of Government. That ministry, Interior, primarily is what used to be called Internal Affairs. Interior is supposed, and even when you read our constitution, the ministry responsible for internal security, which means also internal safety, is responsible for ensuring every Kenyan is safe. Not just safe from Al-Shabaab and all that manner of threats, but also every Kenyan is safe in terms of how the business environment they operate in, the kind of information that is provided to whichever agency you are trading with, and the kind of information that is in the possession of government that should be protected from unnecessary access by unauthorized people, particularly from any other part of the world.
Okay.
So the responsibility finally, or the buck stops at Arambe House, at the office of the Cabinet Secretary, Interior and Coordination of Government. There are no two ways about it, because even like I'll give you scenarios. Even when you transact, or even when the National Treasury is spearheading the economic and fiscal policy of this country, at the end of the day, there are lots of transactions and a lot of activities involving Kenyans. The safety and the security of all those activities should be guaranteed by that particular ministry. So that is where we should be able to begin. And even before rolling out this kind of a process, that particular ministry should have looked at all possibilities. There are sufficient experts within this country and even externally to be able to draw up a plan for that ministry to guarantee the safety and security of all Kenyans.
Right.
Yes.
David, you agree, or you have somewhere else?
No, I think, you know, the Ministry of Interior now has something called, it's called Interior and Citizen Services. Remember, Kialango was removed and taken to defense, then deployed to public works. But the functions that you know, alongside Huduma seemed to me to have been domiciled in his office, which is under the Ministry of Interior. And because I know that Dr. Matiang'i is ruthless and no nonsense, I expect to hear him pronounce himself on this matter. I expect people to have been put to task, at least suspended by late this afternoon. Because
by Monday, they're too late.
But yeah, well, it should have happened yesterday.
Yes.
But because they may not have known how serious this is again.
Now they know.
Now they know. So I expect them to get the chain of people who are involved, who overlooked their mandate. You see what Sonko tried to do after the schools fell.
Yes.
To try and get people to account, to be accountable.
Yes.
Who are the line managers of this project? All the way to the top.
Okay.
Give me answers. As you cobble up answers, you're out of office.
All right. Done. All right. I want to talk about the expiry of the 1,000 shillings note shortly. But Martin Maura, I think, is on standby right now.
All right.
CK, is that right? Oh, okay. We are gonna get him. We're gonna get him to speak to us from the county perspective, what they're thinking. But it's expiring, and there's something that has had a buzz online. You saw the poster.
Yes.
I know people are talking about that poster, but let's not talk about the poster. Let's talk about the expiry. And the governor was here yesterday, the central bank governor, and he sought to clarify. But at the back of that, just a few days ago, they said something that was profound also, that 100 billion shillings has not been returned.
Yes.
Which means 100 billion shillings in the old currency is still out there. With 4 days. It's impossible to return this money.
It's impossible.
Your reflection?
There are two things. First, I think this demonetization exercise was a good initiative. But again, as there has been concerns, you remember there were petitions against the central bank. I don't know how that went, challenging the legality of the currencies that were introduced. But that is on the one part. Secondly, there was this perception, or the central bank tried to create an impression unto us that there are trillions of shillings that are hidden somewhere in bedrooms and mattresses and all that, that could not be located within the official banking system. Unfortunately, that has not proven to be true. So this particular case of maybe 100 billion shillings, because that translates to 10 million notes of 1,000 shillings, isn't it? That is an indicator that perhaps there has been losses, or perhaps there are individuals. There are also individuals who are serving time in committee who buried money in their homesteads. Yes, in cowsheds. So that can easily account for, and 100 billion shillings by day for this economy is very little money. Okay. So that is an indicator that this process perhaps has been 99% successful, in terms of actually being able to transition from the old currency to the new currency. But now it begs the question in terms of outreach, because there were cases whereby a lot of people took advantage, especially some fraudsters, to print fake money, which circulated heavily, especially in rural areas. Because, you know, a new currency, it is not very easy for the average person to be able to identify. Yes. So those are the challenges as to why some people have perhaps not been able to remit that money. But in my view, this process has largely been a success.
All right, David, I'm coming to you to speak about this, but Martin is on standby. We don't want to keep him for a long time. Martin, good morning from Muranga, from Nyeri, sorry, and of course, from Muranga. Martin is in Muranga and Oletenge is in Nyeri. All right, Martin, the deadline is fast approaching and there are concerns about the people who are still holding this money. What are the concerns of the people you're speaking with this morning?
Well, thank you so much, Ken. As you can see, I'm just outside a business center here in Muranga town, where I just want to talk to some of the business people, business owners, just to tell me, because some people here in Muranga are complaining that some businessmen, some banks are actually refusing to take the old note. Without further much ado, I just want to talk to the residents and some businessmen just to give me their views about the demonetization process that is currently ongoing by the CBK. Welcome to NTV, Bwana Korea. Now, I want you to tell me, as a resident and a businessman here in Muranga, are you accepting the old money, and maybe what is your view about the demonetization process?
Okay, my view concerning the old notes is that the central bank governor, as he instructed the entire Republic of Kenya to make sure by the 30th of September they have returned the old notes to the banks, and again they get the new notes for operation to their businesses and to the economy as a whole. My view and my position is that he should not extend even a single minute towards that issue. And I would urge all the people, including the young and old, to take this entire opportunity. We have got some few days remaining to take these old notes to the bank and be given the new notes. We need to build our economy, and the start of the government is clear and sound and good to me. So my response and my wish is to request every person who may be holding that 1,000 old notes to take it to the bank, be exchanged with a new one, so that we may continue building our economy. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Now, there's a lady, niko na a lady over here, na she's a business. Nataka tu niambie wewe kama mfanyabiashara, unakubali pesa hizi mzee?
Majina naitwa Gladys. Kulingana na mabiashara siku hizi, kutoka jana kuna kuchukua noti mzee. Juu ukichukua hii noti, ukirudishia mtu au ukipea mtu anaikataa. So tunataka hii noti mpya. Juu mzee hapana. Hata kwa bank wanatuambia kutoka kesho hakuna kupeleka. Sasa unaona, maybe customer amekuja usiku, hii ni maybe, na sasa kama mimi nauza manguo, customer amekuja anataka nguo, alafu anakupatia hii noti mzee. Hapana, mimi sichukui kwangu. Mimi nataka hii noti mpya. Okay.
Asante sana. Okay. Let me talk to another businessman over here. Nikitaka kitu nianze na majina, niambie, are you accepting the old notes, and do you think the government needs to extend the deadline?
Thank you very much. My name is Timothy. I operate a business called TK Professionals here in Muranga town, and I'm a banking agent and also an M-Pesa agent. Yes, we are accepting, but we are telling our customers that the time is almost over. So I think by tomorrow, by 27th, even the supermarkets, they are not going to accept the old notes. So we are telling all our customers, please come. If you have old notes, come, we exchange them, or you go to the bank. I would urge the government not to extend the deadline, because let's be serious. Even when we mean something, let's say that we are not going to have old notes again, especially 1,000 notes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Lastly, there's a young gentleman over here. I want you to tell me, here in the rural setup, we know we have grandmothers who maybe have not yet received this information. You, as your personal views, do you think the government should extend, and do you think this is the right process, considering that central bank is saying there is more than 100 billion that's still outside their hands?
Okay, thank you. My name is Murai Wagato, and I'm a youth leader here in Muranga. And Maura, this morning, let me tell you this, that the intention of this demonetization was very good, because it was meant to smoke out thousands and thousands of Kenya shillings that are in our houses, perhaps through collapsed deeds. And we as youths, and I want to convey this sentiment as my personal opinion and an opinion of majority of Muranga youths, that we feel that we need this deadline to be extended. Because yesterday I was in my rural area, and on discussing this matter with my grandmother, I noted that she had no information. She didn't know anything to do with the deadline or demonetization. And she was worried, because I got that she had 8,000 in a container. She had hidden somewhere in a container. So I'm feeling that it's not all Kenyans that own radios, not all Kenyans that own TVs, not all Kenyans that read newspapers. And it is my feeling that it should have been done through, the publicity should have been done through perhaps something like barazas. Let the publicity be done thoroughly, because it might end up punishing innocent Kenyans that perhaps through ignorance they are not aware. So perhaps we can extend some more few days, up to perhaps 15, so that we enlighten these Kenyans that you take these notes to the banks, so that they are not caught up in a mess. Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your views. And now Ken, those are just some of the views that I've managed to get from the residents here in Muranga. There are a divided opinion. Some are saying that there should be extension. Others are saying that no, the government should not extend even for a single day. Back to you, Ken.
All right. Thank you very much with those perspectives, and more important, the last thing that was said by that speaker. And obviously, they still have 4 days, so it's important that this message passes to everyone. And before I come back to studio, let me speak to Bernardo Juang, Rongo constituency, Migori County. David, by the way, that's your constituency. That's
I'll represent in Parliament.
In Parliament.
Not too long
to come. But now David Osiany is here. He's very excited to see you from Rongo. And talk to us first about, have you advised your grandmother, your mother at home, and your old folks about the 1,000 shilling notes? Have you spoken to them about it? Even as you speak to us about the Japanese ambassador being in Osiany's constituency. I don't know what he's doing here. Talk to us, Bernard.
Imezima. It's off.
Here at Kondoro Primary School, Rongo constituency. What's going on here? Just to answer the first question you've just answered. Many people, especially business operators, they have tried at least returning the money, and also, of course, they are saying that they have hit the target, they have hit the deadline. And of course, what's going on here today? Japanese ambassador Ryoichi Horio is here to launch a school project that is launching these two classrooms worth 2.8 million shillings, and also is saying that they are here in the country. They are targeting different counties. They have started here in Rongo, Migori County, and also from here they have another project in Mombasa. He will be telling us more. Just before, instead of wasting a lot of time, we're just going to talk to him just to tell us more about this project and how many projects do they intend at least to do in the country. Join me here you are here in the country, and today you are here at Kondoro Primary School, at least to launch this project. Tell us more about this project.
Yes, this is one of the projects assisted by the grassroots grant assistance, and we have been assisting Kenya, most of the counties of Kenya for last 30 years. This is one of the projects, and I signed agreement for the Mombasa big projects amounting to 8 billion Kenyan shilling together with Treasury Secretary. So we have different kinds of projects, programs, schemes, so we are going to expand those projects.
Apart from Mombasa and Migori County, where you are today, which county are you now targeting?
All the counties, 47 counties we are targeting. So please see what we are going to do in the future.
How much have you set aside at least for this project? Because you are saying that you are targeting 47 counties in Kenya.
No, specific ceiling of the projects. I mean the ceiling. So we are waiting for the good proposal, good application for this scheme. So for this classroom and the toilets and the desk, we put 3 million Kenyan shilling.
Well, thank you very much, Ambassador. I'll speak to the representative of the DCC here, just to tell us more how is this going to help maybe these schools around here. Remember, in Dagoretti, we saw an incident whereby some pupils lost their lives, and of course, could you just please tell us how is this going to help you? Gentlemen here.
Thank you very much, Bernard. We are very pleased with the Japanese government for having partnered with Kenyan government to provide infrastructure that is in schools here. The Japanese government has constructed 2 permanent classrooms in this school and a $6 latrine in this school. We are very pleased with that. This is going to greatly impact in the positive enrollment in this school. And we also believe that there is an reduced number of school dropout that has happened here, and equally reduced number of early pregnancies in the school. This is just because the government, the Japanese government, has constructed schools that has made it available for local pupils to come and learn. So
you saw what happened in Dagoretti, where 7 pupils lost their lives. What are the measures have you put in place to ensure that do not happen here in Rongo Sub-County? Are you moving around the constituency, at least inspecting these classrooms?
Yeah, thank you very much. Rongo Sub-County, led by the Deputy County Commissioner and the education team, are going rounds in every school to ensure that infrastructures in schools are up to standard. We don't want any incidents that had occurred in Nairobi to happen here. So we are up to task, going around, and we are equally pleased with the government of Japanese. This is one of the measures that they've put in place to ensure that stable structures are put in place.
Well, thank you very much, Bernard. This is okay. Ken, I was speaking to Ambassador there, Japanese Ambassador here, Ryochi Hori, and also DCC Rongo Sub-County, saying that this is one of the measures to ensure that students in this area are learning in a friendly and conducive environment. Remember, as I told you there before, remember you saw what happened in Dagoretti, where 7 people lost their lives, and of course they are saying that they are moving around constituency to ensure that no classroom is in a pathetic situation, and whenever they come across such, they will be informing the authorities, so as at least take action such as CDF, so at least to put a good classroom. And also the locals here have been urging those who are being given tenders, at least for constructing these schools, at least to ensure they put up standard classroom, at least to ensure that our pupils are safe wherever they are. Back to you, Ken.
Thank you, Bernard, for that perspective. And of course, let's come back to the studio and talk about money. And Ocean, it was your opportunity. I hope you've told you, I know you love your peeps at home.
First, I need to congratulate and thank the Japanese
ambassador
for that venture. And, you know, listen to that SCC, I think it's the SCC, expressing himself excellently well. I'm so proud. You know, the face of government leaders has changed, especially the structure and cadre of administrative leaders and police. Increasingly, you're having better informed, better spoken people. It's an enhancement of of the leadership we have, and we have to laud them for that. Now on to demonetization. We must ask ourselves, what was the intention of demonetization? Was it clear? Was it to flush out the black money? Was it to strengthen the currency? Was it to ensure that the features on our currencies are a lot better, and so we reduce the incidences of, as Ben was trying to explain earlier, fake money running around? Many countries have had the demonetization policies with different rates of successes and failure, right? From the UK in 1971, Australia in 1996, Pakistan, India most recently and most pronounced, in terms of that policy. And there's a mixed feeling as to whether the intention, for example, in India was met, by demonetization. I think demonetization has been good. It actually flushes out black money to quite a huge extent, even though statistics shows that probably the impact has been slightly just above 2%. But I tell you, again, it goes back to whether the whole chain and process of demonetization and possible routes through which that money would be spent were taken into account.
Okay.
I know that when initially this law was put into place, there was word, verifiably so, that most of the people who were targets of this money ended up channeling this money in cash form to microfinancing outlets. So you go to a place like Migori, you identify those, they are called the people who lend monies, Shylocks, who lend monies in cash. There is no bank transaction or transfer. All people need to do is to come here and borrow 20,000 shillings and return it in November when that time has elapsed. By so doing, you beat the system. Now, the problem is, I expect still that the people who borrowed this money, in whichever form or shape, are going to have to take them through to the banks.
Yes.
Thing is, you will have them taking it to hardwares, you'll have them taking it to shops, which ought to bank this money. Somehow, somewhat, you still expect that you will have netted about 50 billion. Here is the catch, which I think is the game everyone is playing. I think they're trying to push the CBK to the wall so that by 30th of this month, the CBK reneges on its initial deadline and says, we have added you one more week, which CBK must not do. If this is going to work, then they must not renege on that. Let people go and burn that money.
Okay.
Let them go cry and make losses. Let them do what they have to do. Because I know the way the psyche of these people works. Or government is going to be embarrassed because they will have had a very low uptake of the new monies and return of the old monies. They will push the deadline. CBK must not renege on that. Then we will see who loses.